Hello everyone, welcome to the Azure Developer Community DevOps Bootcamp. This is Lakshit Pandya, host for today, and this is going to be a 7-day journey for the entire Azure DevOps Bootcamp. We are having some incredible industry speakers for this bootcamp, and today for the day one, we have Sarthak Jain, head of community reskill, with us. We'll be explaining you what is DevOps, what are the best practices of DevOps, and how can build your and why you should consider your career in DevOps field. So, not wasting much of the time, I'll quickly pass on the stage to Sarthak. Over to you.
Hi everyone, thank you Lakshit for the introduction. Uh, okay, so today we are going to learn more about Azure DevOps, what Azure DevOps is. Before starting Azure DevOps, we'll quickly jump into what DevOps is, how we can start the DevOps practices. Okay, I hope my screen is visible to all. Okay, so today, when we talk about Azure DevOps or DevOps, this is something very big in the industry nowadays. DevOps is something which is a trend, which is followed by the industry leaders, most of the MNCs, startups. Uh, so, what we are going to do today, we are going to see what is traditional IT culture, because eventually DevOps is all about culture or a shift, which is done by the most of the industries. So, what is the traditional IT industry culture? What is continuous delivery? Then we'll look into the what is DevOps eventually. Then we are going to know more about Azure DevOps, the tools of Azure DevOps. We are going to set up a context about boards, repo pipeline, and test plan artifacts, and all these things. Then we'll talk about how what is CI/CD pipeline and how we can build our first CI/CD pipeline. That is something we are going to learn in this session. Okay, so why we need DevOps? Okay, or uh, uh, why all these terms Azure, DevOps, Agile, Lean come into the place. Okay, why this happen is okay. So for understanding SDLC lifecycle, SDLC is means software development lifecycle. To understand this, we need to understand the software architecture or delivery, how a software is delivered to a customer in a traditional manner and in a modern manner. When we talk about modern manner, then we talk about DevOps, Agile, often Scrums. And when we talk about traditional manner, we all understood about waterfall approach. So let's start with that. In traditional manner, we follow an approach or a culture that is a waterfall approach or a culture. In modern manner, we are following agile, often Scrum, DevOps. This all comes under the umbrella of modern culture or a modern software delivery cycle. In traditional manner, when we talk about, there are teams like developer team, operational team, testing team, QA team. All these teams are working individually. They don't interconnected, or they don't talk, or they don't work together in traditional environment. But when we talk about modern software delivery cycle, then yeah, they work on a multidisciplinary, work together in a small pieces of delivery and all these things. So what they do, they work together. Okay, they eventually work in a single team so that every the work didn't affected by the time. Okay, when we talk about release is something we heard a lot of time कि production में code जा रहा है. Okay, we release our software, okay, we put something in release, we put something in production. It means what? आपने एक पूरा code करा, you have coded a feature and you put that on a production so that user can use that feature, or client can check that feature. That is something production environment is, or release environment is. It means in traditional approach, it is go matlab the code we release oftenly 2 or 3 times in a year. It means what कि हम जो अपना feature release करते थे, we don't release on a daily basis. But when we talk about modern culture, modern software delivery cycle, in today's culture, we release software multiple times in a day, which means what? We release features, we release update on a continuous way. in a continuous manner to, and taking the continuous feedback from the client. That is something we are doing today. In traditional systems, we think that let us suppose you want to build a website. That website is budget or cost driven. The project is cost driven or budget driven. It means what? Here we need to make a website which cost us $100K. Okay, let's build this website. That is the approach a traditional company or traditional software delivery um, adopt. But when we talk about modern software delivery pipeline, that is more concerned about values. Eventually, they take money. Money is important, but values are more important for the modern culture and modern behavior. Which means they provide the best in class service. They take best in class feedback from the client and try to improve their feedback in a better manner. That is something uh, modern software delivery help us to do. Okay. Um, when we talk about agile is a subset of a DevOps, we can say, culture. Okay. And on a and agile give us 7 to 8 manifestos. In that, they have written what agile exactly is. Okay. So in the first manifesto, the first principle of that manifesto is our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of the valuable software. Which means what? They want that if their customer wants to make a website, they get the website on a higher pace with a effective code. Okay, in a with a effective code in a less time and on a continuous delivery manner. What do you mean by continuous delivery? Let us try to understand this with an example. You are making a website. Okay, it's a gaming website. Okay, it's a gaming website. You are making a website where you can play lots of games like PUBG. Okay, and mm, and so many games you can play in that single website. Okay, now your client wants that the UI of that website should be in a black or white color. You build a website with a UI of black and white color. Your client wants that in that website, if anyone log in, they should get a OTP. Means OTP authentication should be there. You go and build an OTP authentication over that website. Other day, a client wants that whatever you are doing in that website, the log should be generated and a user can see that log. You have done that thing. It means what? You are continuously building new things and delivering to the client. That is something very valuable for a customer, and that is the first principle of the agile manifesto. Is our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of their valuable software. That is something agile manifesto gives. Yeah, that is something I already told you. Continuous, what is continuous delivery is um, high. uh, it means what? Delivering a high value software with all the updates and feedbacks what client gave us. That is continuous delivery is. Now, uh, let us try to understand why I was, explaining you about continuous delivery. I was talking about agile, why I was talking about DevOps and agile and traditional IT sector. Let us try to understand that. If we talk about DevOps, so according to Dovan, the DevOps is the union of public, people, process, and product to enable continuous delivery of value to our end user. Let us try to understand in a better manner what DevOps is. Whenever whenever you are going to talk about uh, DevOps, whenever you are going to talk about DevOps, should understand uh, you should understand that it is a culture, it is a process, it is something a workflow. It is not something like a tool which you can use. It is not something a technology. It's a culture. It's a domain which you can learn and eventually imply in your project, company, or an organization. That is something DevOps is. Okay, okay. The how we do this, we understand what DevOps is on a one side in a brief we understand what DevOps is. Okay, now let us understand how we approach how we do this. Let us try to, yeah, I guess Harsh is doing it. The team, the developer team and operation team are working together to solve a particular problem. Yeah, that is something DevOps is not a problem, but building a cool solution, that is DevOps. Building a valuable solution in a valuable time. Okay, that is DevOps. What are the practical are we going to cover in this session? I guess we don't have any practical because tomorrow we start with the continuous CI/CD pipeline with Azure DevOps. So today we are going to set up the base what Azure DevOps is, what DevOps is. So in this session, we are only going to understand about what DevOps is. Tomorrow we are going to cover with some repo part. Okay, then Azure repos. Then day after tomorrow with some Azure test, Azure pipelines, then artifacts, and then test. So we're going to cover the whole pipeline part, but in next 7 days. So today we are going to understand what DevOps and Azure DevOps is. So whenever we talk about DevOps, so a picture came into my mind, which is, I guess, shown at your screen. You can see this picture. In this picture, you can see there's an infinite cycle, which you can see. In infinite cycle, it start from plan, code, then plan. After planning, we do coding, build, test, release, deploy, operate, and monitor. Let us try to understand all these stages one by one. Let us take an example. Today, I want to build a WhatsApp, an app like WhatsApp. What I need to do first? Should I go and start coding? No, I need to start, preparing a doc where I should have the use case diagram, architecture diagram. How will I going to start building a WhatsApp? I need to understand what type of databases will use to build a WhatsApp, what type of language I'll use, what type of should I need to make a web app or a mobile app. If I'm making a mobile app, what sort of technology I'll use to build that app. That is all come under an umbrella of planning. So that is something we eventually start. So we start with planning. For planning, we have several tools we'll discuss in this coming session. Okay, for coding, yeah, then we start coding. Like if we start coding, what it means, if we plan that we'll make a mobile app which is over a Flutter. So what we are going to do, we start coding that Flutter app on with Dart. Dart is a language which used to code a Flutter app. We use Dart if we are using any authentication like Firebase or app, right? So we use that authentication or a database to store that thing. Then after coding part, we used to build that app. Now most of the people confuse when we talk about build, what exactly the build is. I guess everyone have installed some software in their laptop. I hope yes. So when you're installing any software, you always find .exe file in your Windows system. .exe is executable file. That is something a build of software. What it means, you can't see the code. You can only see executable file which can run your code and execute the operation of that code. I repeat, you can't see that code. You can change the code. You can only see the executable file, which can execute the while in your system to run that particular part. Then we come on a test phase. What is a test phase? Suppose in a plan state we choose one feature. Let us suppose we choose a feature to send and receive a message. To send and receive a message, we code that feature, we build that feature. Now on a testing phase, we are testing that is this feature is working right or wrong. We have in when we talk about developer team, the developer team do a unit test, which means on a prior basis they have few test cases. If they pass, they put that into a release. Also we have a lot more tests like penetration testing, load testing, and ample amount of testing we have while building a software or a product. Then we put that code into a release. After release, we deploy that code over a cloud services. Okay, might be there are terms like visualization or containerization, if you heard about that. If you put that into a container and you can, and that container you deploy over a cloud, that is also a case or a part of your a part of your cycle can be. But today you are making a WhatsApp app, as we have talked. So you tested that feature of send and receive message, you put that into a release. After release, you deployed that app over your app store or Play Store. Okay, then what you are doing, you are operating that app. Now this is open for user can see that app. Okay, and that in that particular time you take feedback, you take suggestions from the users. According to that, you monitor that app. The app is running fine or not, the servers are running fine or not, technically it is going good or not, is there any bug which you find. So you take feedback, you do all these things, and again you put that on the planning stage. If everything is running fine, okay, you start building the second feature. If not, you plan that particular part and then again code, build, test. You follow this pipeline, you follow this infinite loop until unless you didn't get the final product. And that final product also have a limit or time frame, which is known as, you divide a particular, let us suppose you have a project which is of 6 months. So you divide every, and you have almost 10 features to be built. So you divide 10 features into 6 months, so that according to and that 10 sprints is, that 10 features or 10 time division is known as sprint. So one sprint have one feature in which you build this particular app or a software. Yeah. So when we talk about this life cycle, well, this software LCLC life cycle, DevOps life cycle, so that is something we can see now. See, in a planning state, we have lots of app like Jira, like Slack. We can use when we jump into the coding part. We use Git to manage our code, version control system. We use GitHub. We use GitLab to, as a source code management tool. We use Gradle to build our product. We use Azure testing environment, Azure services to test our app. Okay, then for release we use uh, again we use Jenkins when we talk about. So we use in building state also, in releasing state also, we use Jenkins for automatic CI/CD, complete CI/CD pipeline. To build CI/CD pipeline, we use Jenkins. We use OpenStack. Then for deploying, we use cloud services like AWS, Azure. To deploy that in a container, we use Docker. Okay, to operate in the sense, when we talk about operations, is something like, let me give you a very good example. I hope everyone is comfortable while using Java. Everyone have Java in their system. Yes or no? Everyone are using Java. Uh, yes or no? Just want to understand everyone is using Java or not. Yes. Let us suppose you have 100 systems at your in your campus or in your computer lab, and none of them have Java installed in it. Now you have two options. One is you can install Java one by one in every system, and other option is you can use tools like Ansible or Chef or Puppet. Ansible and Chef, these are the continuous configuration tool, automatic configuration tools, which can help you to configure what you need. You just need an IP and a password of your system, and in one go they can install Java uh, in a very smooth manner with just one or two commands. That is the power of Ansible is. So it's a configuration and provisioning tool. Ansible is a configuration and provisioning tool which can help you to automate these tasks. So that is something you can do with DevOps, this tool. Then we have Kubernetes. So if you heard about this Docker container, so these Docker containers can be up and down. Let's take a case scenario of an Hotstar. If you heard about Hotstar now, if you talk about Geo TV, huh? I guess that name is GeoTV only. So when we talk about GeoTV, so today IPL is going on. Nowadays IPL is going on, and if we can see that, so we can see 1 crore users. Sometime player like MS Dhoni or Virat come into the pitch or the pitch. So these users uh, count jumped to from 1 crore to 2 crores, sometime 2.2 crores, sometime 2.5 crores. Then what happened, that time, what happened is we need to increase the server. That means what, if 2 crores particular app or that particular uh, portal, it means that server uh, that server needs to be upgraded, or that server needs to be increases on our first go. Okay, the Kubernetes help us to give that functionality. It can increase, automatically scale or scale down the server according to the need. So that's the power of Kubernetes have. If you do, that's the power that Kubernetes give. Then we come to the monitor part. When we talk about monitoring part, monitoring is something like our do our server have the running on a smoothly. What is our server health? What is our you know app health? Do any virus or anything doesn't come at on our system? Is everything is working fine? That is something monitored by Grafana or Greylog. Okay, then again we start with the planning state. That is something, a brief about a DevOps pipeline. Harsh is asking about, uh, can you please explain the build part by looking at the, okay, when we talk about build, so I hope you have used the .exe file whenever you are installing any software. So .exe file, it's an executable file. How we can make that executable file from a code, that is something build do. On a build phase, we build a executable file or a build of complete code part with the help of these tools like Gradle and Sonotype. So that is we do in build part. Okay, the tool which we have used till now, like we talk about Git, we talk about Gradle, we talk about OpenStack, we talk about Jenkins, we talk about Docker, Ansible, Grafana. These all tool can be income, they can be come into a single place over a cloud like Azure, and we can see with these names: Azure boards, repos, pipeline, test plan, and artifacts. Now I would like to explain you one by one how we can relate with these tools. So we have talked about planning stage. When we talk about planning stage, we use Slack, right? Now in over Azure, we use Azure boards. For code part, where we are using Git, we use Git. Now here we use Git repos. The CI/CD part, the build part, the testing part, or the releasing part, where we are talking about, here we are using Azure pipeline. The deploying part, for more rigorous testing the software, we use Azure test plans. Here, these complete. Here is how we complete a whole circle or a whole pipeline. Okay, so that is something. The what Azure DevOps is an end-to-end solution for. Okay, it's an end-to-end solution for organization looking for an enterprise created tool chain. So what you can do is fully integrated. You don't need to integrate any other software or tool with it, and you can trace, you can verify the log easily. You can scale any project, any team very easily. Because of Azure, the power of Azure, it is highly available, multi-region service. You can use with hybrid cloud and on-prem cloud according to your wish. Azure DevOps, because of Azure, it's having a commendable customer support. Okay, and you have that consistent admin and access control. Because of that, Azure DevOps is one of the good service in nowadays. Okay, so that is something, a brief written in the chat. over your screen what Azure DevOps is, what Azure pipeline is. We are going to cover every topic in very advanced in upcoming session. How you can start with Azure boards, how you can build your first pipeline, how you can uh, store your code or make do work with Azure repos. What is Azure test plan? How we can work with Azure artifacts and all these things you will get to know. Okay, so these are the Azure DevOps component. What we do, we again I'm telling you, we use Azure board to plan this part. We develop a software, we can connect Azure repos with GitHub, Bitbucket and tools, any source code management tools. Okay, we integrate or build. Here we use term build with Azure pipelines or with our build app. Then we package that part with Azure artifacts. We test that part with Azure test plans. Okay, then we release that server with Azure servers and Azure deployment app. Then what we going to do is we configure, we operate like Ansible do with for us. We used to Azure give us a service like Azure migrate or a configure service that we can do. And lastly, we monitor with Azure Monitor. So Azure give us end-to-end solution for this complete pipeline, which we can use to build a first cycle. This is a basic architecture. If you can talk about this, so this is a basic architecture of a particular organization. Like we have two organization A and B. They have various project 1, 2 and 4. So what we are doing, every project have different repo it means uh, I'll share you this slide if you want. I'll share the slide, Yashwant. Okay. Yeah, so every repo means we make a repo over a GitHub where we put our code. Okay, to the code what we do, we put that code over the repo of a single software. So suppose project to have two repos, one for the front end, another one for other functionality, and so on and so forth. Okay, suppose in an organization, let's come more deep down into this. Like we have a project 1. In that project 1 we have team A, B and C. Now what we can do is we can how we can manage our team. We can uh, run in here. We have project 1, we have repo 1. Okay, so you can see how the basic architecture can work around. So like let us suppose this is Azure AD. Azure AD is Azure Active Directory, which is on the top of Azure DevOps, which is managing the whole organization. Then came in Azure DevOps came into the picture. Okay, okay. Now we have different projects. For different projects, we have different repos which are working together. In different projects, we have different teams. So there is just I'm telling you, different projects have different teams. To manage these part, we have tools like Azure DevOps. We build different pipelines for different works. Like for testing, we have build different pipeline. For integrating some part, for integrating tools, for integrating services, we build different pipelines. Yeah. So this is a basic architecture you can see. Let's talk about Azure boards on a very brief perspective, because we have a very deep going session over it, what Azure boards is, and hands-on session where how we can work with this. So let us suppose you are in an organization, you have 20 features to code in the next 6 months. You have 10 developers, those who are working on different features. In these features, they are doing a micro task, like some of them are building on the front end part, some of them are working on databases, some of them are working on integration part, some of them are working on cloud deployment. So just to put all these jobs at one place, we use Azure boards. Azure boards give us the functionality which help us to record, track the task at one place. And here what we can do is we can put the new features, the new functionality which will be coming when we start building a software. Here we can track the active task. or the resolved queries also. So all the feedback, all the suggestion also we can put over this place. So what Azure board help us to do? It help us to trace uh, the current progress of the project, the backlog of the project, the sprint which we are currently working. Will help us to plan the project and the Kanban system. Okay, now talking about Azure repos, it is something like GitHub if you use GitHub any day, anyhow. But yeah, better than GitHub because at this Azure repos, whenever you submit that feature, you can mark simultaneously with Azure board so that it is interlinked and connected, and so that it you don't need to do manual tasks and again go and put your submission and deletion over Azure uh, boards. Azure repos is something like it is also hosted on the top of Git. If you heard about Git and GitHub, so it is also hosted on the top of Git. It gives you permissions to host the website, to host your. It's a source code management tool if we talk about. Okay, so again, it is help you what it help us you to do. It help us to you to store your code. Okay, it is using Git, so similar as GitHub you are using, it is similar like that. You can make a pull request. You can make different branches for different teams to collaborate and sync. Azure repos also gives you an power to build a CI/CD pipeline. It's hook for hook. What does webhook means? If let us suppose you push a code over Azure repos, it will and you want that it will automatically deploy um, over your cloud. That hook it gives you, that trigger it gives you. Azure repos can help you out. Then Azure Pipelines is a CI/CD platform. What is CI/CD? Continuous integration and continuous deployment. It means what? Whenever you code a particular feature, it automatically goes into the build part, and after the build, it automatically goes to the production part, so that without any further delay, it can help you out. Okay, so what Azure pipelines help you do is it helps you to build automation, continuous integration. It means the time you put a code in, it will be automatic integrated with other features of the part and automatically deployed, automatically delivered. It is traceable anytime your code. Uh, Anytime a bug occur in your code, it can easily be traceable. Okay, and it can also, like, if you build a product, if everything is going good, if you want to deploy that, it can easily be hooked with other products. Then Azure test plan, so you write some test cases. After writing some test cases, your code is going through this test plan series. After passing all the test cases, you can easily uh, doing all these things. So what it's to do for you, this stage do for you, plan and exploratory testing solutions. It capture your data, ticket text across website and desktop. If you heard about Selenium, the work Selenium uses completely similar to that. And again, a traceability is something which Azure gives you. Then Azure artifacts. So when we talk about Maven, when we talk about Gradle, when we talk about all these things, so yeah, it helps you to helps you to build packages of your solution. Okay, um, Azure artifacts, yeah. Basically, Azure Artifacts is a package management tool. If you talk about, so it helps us to package our product so that external user can use us. So when we talk about external marketplaces or the integration which you're talking about, you can integrate with all these. There are 1,000+ products through which you can integrate your Azure service. If you don't want to use Azure board, You can use Slack for the conversation. If you want to use Docker, you don't want to use Azure Registry, so you can use Docker registry. Okay, if you want to integrate Google Slide with Azure DevOps or Excel with Azure DevOps, you can integrate. If you want to integrate now, OpenAI is a new term for all of you. So you can integrate OpenAI as well with your Azure pipeline. So that is something they give you. So all the tools which you can learn in Azure DevOps, you can integrate with Azure DevOps too. Not only that, but you can build on the top of that if you don't want to use any of the tool of Azure DevOps. So what Azure DevOps exactly is, it's a SaaS solution for you guys. ठीक है, uh, Azure DevOps doesn't require any maintenance to build out at the top of your machine. It is highly updated. You can, again, traceability is one of the best thing which Azure DevOps can give you. You can trace each and every step of your pipeline with this. Azure, because of power of Azure, because of power of Microsoft Azure, you can host in various regions in over a globe. So it is highly scalable as well. If we talk about the summary of this session, we talk about traditional IT industry, we talk about continuous delivery, we talk about DevOps, yeah, in a brief manner. We talk about all the tools or services which Azure DevOps gave us. We talk about Azure Board, Repo, Pipeline, Test, and Artifacts. That is all about we talk about. Now I'm open for any question if you have. Now, any question if you have, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm open for every question. And tomorrow, yes, we are going to start with Azure Repos, where we are going to build our first where we are going to put our first source code over Azure Repos and try to work around Azure Repos, how we can create the pull request, how we can merge that, how how we exactly use Azure Repos. So any question you have is highly appreciated. Okay, what is Canman? So basically, it's a framework to implement agile and DevOps software, uh, Azure, agile or DevOps software development. Any other question? How we can set up the environment? You don't need to set up an environment. That is a advantage of Azure DevOps. You just need to log in with your Azure account, and yeah, you are ready for the work. You don't need to set up anything over your system anytime. You just need to log in on portal.azure.com, click on Azure DevOps, start working with Azure DevOps. You don't need to install anything or don't need to do any type of environment setup. Anything else, Harsh? If there is any question, please ask. Just allow me a second so that I can share you the PPT as well. Um, Here's the PPT link. You can go through the PPT once after the session. Okay, this is an introductory PPT. Uh, the PPT link, you can see this PPT if you want. Okay, that's all for this session. Thank you everyone for the lovely question. We'll get back to you tomorrow with Azure repos. Hope you will stay till the end to learn more about Azure DevOps. Thank you.